Hi everybody, welcome into this week's edition of the Coach O Show. My name is Ryan Beckman, joined as always with Coach O, Wildcat head football coach Chris Ostrowski. Coming up on this week's show, we'll take a look back at the Wildcats game against the Malone Pioneers. We'll chat with offensive line coach Rob Boss. We'll also look ahead to the Wildcats' next game against the Wayne State Warriors on Saturday at the Superior Dome. But Coach, let's get into it. Another one of those games that go right down to the wire. Yeah. 4 straight weeks now that it's decided. Unfortunately, again, 42-35 overtime loss to Malone on Saturday.
Yeah, you know, tough one. Yeah. There's no question about it. Tough one in terms of the progress that we're trying to make, and it gives a little fuel to the doubters, if you will. But at the same time, our players got great resolve. They take responsibility, as we do as coaches, and you're up 14 points with 4 minutes left in a football game on the road in this league. You got to find a way to win. It's one we'll learn from, or we won't learn from it, and we'll continue to wallow in it. Sure. So we're going to go back to work, and we're going to do it with a little bit more energy, and we're going to try to find a way to put us on the right side of the ledger, if you will.
Yeah, if there was really one thing that stood out, it was the turnovers, and 6 turnovers, which is really uncharacteristic for this football team.
Yeah, I don't think we've turned the ball over 6 times in terms of 4 of them being fumbles in 2 years.
Right.
So, you know, it was a different day. And with that being said, you turn it over 6 times, put yourself in a position to be up 14 points with 4 minutes left. It's a tough one to swallow.
You go with the quarterback change on Saturday. Durante Lewis, the freshman, gets his first career start. He had played sparingly already, but you know, 14 of 27 passing, 1 touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns. What did you see from your freshman quarterback?
You know, I think he gave us a little burst, gave us a little energy, and I think you know, to add to your next question, if you will, the change wasn't made because of anything that we weren't getting out of Shea Brown. I mean, I think he's a terribly talented young man that can make all the throws. I just thought we needed something different in terms of a dimension. So it had less to do with what Shea wasn't doing and what Durante can bring us. So, you know, I thought he did that. It enables them to play the box differently versus run and pass. So he'll continue to grow. Both kids are really young guys, and then we'll continue to develop.
Real quick, just away from the game though, but you guys had a chance to make a trip to the Hall of Fame on Friday. It
was an awesome day. You know, there was a lot that went on Friday that was really, really good. The one thing that was most impressive, or it brought you some pride, is our offensive lineman, Jamal Brown, who's from Lawrence, Kansas, grew up in the same town as the University of Kansas, is the son of Gilbert Brown, who was the great defensive lineman for the Packers. And his picture was at the Hall of Fame, and he kind of took a picture right next to his dad. It was kind of cool.
We'll talk more about the Malone game coming up in a little bit. We'll take a break. We'll talk with offensive line coach Rob Boss next on the Coach O Show.
The Coach O Show is sponsored by
Back here on the Coach O Show, joined now by offensive line coach Rob Boss. Coach Boss, nice to have you on the program. And let's get right into it. Let's talk about this offensive line, a mixture of guys that have been here for a few years, and some guys that are really getting their first experience on this Wildcat offensive line. What have you seen from the guys this year?
You know, I mean, one of the things that's always been nice for us the last couple of years is, you know, Kyle Stuke at center for us has been doing a great job. And you always know what you're going to get from Kyle. You know, he's a really, really solid player who's, you know, you can count on to kind of be that coach on the field for you. You know, we bumped Jordan Strope out from guard to tackle, and he's been making that transition pretty well, and it has been a transition for him. You know, we get James Bester and Brad Kotz back from injury from last season, and both of those guys are performing at pretty good levels and doing what we want them to do, and really making a lot out of their senior year here. So that's been nice to see. And then Coach talked about Jamal Brown here a little bit earlier, and he's been a great surprise for us coming in and really being what we needed him to be at left guard, and he continues to get better every week.
When you get freshmen coming in here and get them acclimated to the college life, what's the biggest thing that you try to stress to them as they transition to college football on the offensive line?
Being able to transition from, football-wise from high school to college is a big difference for offensive linemen, because the pass protection, the things that we're going to ask them to do in pass protection, they're generally not doing at the high school level. So that becomes a huge transition from the technique, from the ability to play in space, be able to maintain the balance space through the protection. That's a difficult thing, and that really, generally becomes something that they've got to continue to rep and rep and rep, that they kind of, get as they go. It's not something that generally just, the light switch goes on and they've got it already. And then, from just high school to college, actually in the school, becomes time management. Their ability to be able to manage going to school and being able to manage what we're asking them to do for a football program, that becomes their big stuff.
Well, you played offensive line for the Wildcats in the not too distant past.
A little farther than we thought.
How have you seen the game change from that position over the years?
The size of the guys just continues to get bigger and bigger. The guys that I was playing with, I was one of the bigger linemen, at 6'4", 290, and now you see the 6'7", 330, 6'7", 350, and you see those guys everywhere. Everybody's got those kind of players. So that's one of the biggest things that you see now, is the players just continue to get bigger, and the defenses just continue to move and continue to give you a lot of different blitzes and a lot of different movements and a lot of different fronts. So for us to be able to fit those, that's the big thing for us.
Coach Boss, we appreciate the time. Best of luck rest of the way.
Thanks a lot, Ryan.
We'll take a break on the Coach O Show. We'll get into the highlights next, right after this.
Hey Wildcat fans, it's time for this week's trivia question. What NMU player went on to coach collegiate football, winning 5 Big Ten conference titles? Was it A, Lloyd Carr, B, Steve Mariucci, or C, Dick Koski? Find out after the break. What NMU player went on to coach collegiate football, winning 5 Big Ten conference titles? The correct answer was A, Lloyd Carr.
Welcome back to the Coach O Show. It's the portion of the show where we get into the video highlights from the game this past Saturday against the Malone Pioneers. And we'll start with the offense. And, well, they put up 35 points, so definitely some highlights to get into from Saturday, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit about that trivia question before. Lloyd Carr came up last spring for our spring football game, and what a first-class guy. I mean, just someone as so accomplished as he, just so complimentary of what we were trying to get done as a program, and what a winner. I mean, really a tribute to our alumni and what Northern should and does represent. Lloyd Carr's, he's the whole package, no question. So as we get going here with our stuff, I had to add that in there.
That's
Ryan,
great.
that's
okay. That's perfect.
But kind of a base set for us on the goal line. And obviously we had some success scoring points, which is really important. We know we needed to do that heading into this one. And just a base set for us in the run game. And again, for me, there's nobody else I'd rather have in the backfield than Wyatt Jerson. He's just a big, strong kid that is a great competitor, does a heck of a job here of getting through the first line of defense, and then gets stood up for the most part. But then his will to be successful and the push and drive, and you got a Wildcat touchdown, that's a pretty good football play for us at that point. Yeah. Again, we talk about this view representing a teaching tool for us in terms of the interior play, and we get this thing going and we're able to get a bounce in, and you got to score.
124 yards for Wyatt Jerson on the afternoon. His third game of over 100 yards rushing this season. Yeah,
he's rolling. He's having a good year. He's off to a good start. So it's important that he continues to progress on that path.
Absolutely.
Okay, we get ourselves here, Ryan, and again, maybe I need my glasses, but we're in a set here where we're in a point in the game, and you talk about players making plays. You got talent. Well, we got to make big plays. Talent makes big plays, and that's what this thing is here. We get a good look on a rollout pass. Durante creates some space for himself, and then Marcus Tucker, who just a great kid to have with you. I mean, he's a kid that you just love hanging around and being with, and makes a great catch, gets to the next level, and scores touchdowns, and that's what this offense should represent. And one of the great things that you notice as you go here, again, a little sprint out pass within our offense, and Durante puts the ball up in the air, gives the playmaker a chance to make a play. He does make the play, but then as you notice here, he's vertical upfield, and this is for the young guys that are watching at home. Watch him secure the football right there. See, right as he thinks the defender's getting close, right at that moment, the ball is high and tight. He's securing the football and he's guaranteeing himself in the end zone, puts the ball down, and that was a great little score for us. Taps 25 and says maybe next time, and
that's right.
That's that. So that was a great deal for us. Obviously, we had a bunch of other pretty good plays, but I think that was a good one to show the deal here at the end.
And the thing about Marcus Tucker is this is a guy just keeps getting better each and every week. He had 4 touchdowns last season. He's already got 4 at this point.
Yeah, Marcus will keep rolling for us. You know, a great player for us as a sophomore come in, and he'll continue to do that. You know, we're asking a lot of Tuck. You know, we're asking him to be a leader. We're asking him to really represent more than just his business, but the other guys as well. And, you know, in terms of the process and frustration with us not being a premier program at this moment, Tucker's one of those people that are completely committed to being a Wildcat.
And real quick, he got it done in the return game for you guys on Saturday,
He really
too.
did. You know, the first one he almost
did.
took to the house. As a coach, I just ran out of gas. So we're going to have to give him a little more chocolate milk before the game or something, but we'll gas him up.
Absolutely. Well, we'll take a break here on the Coach O Show. When we come back, we'll get into the defensive highlights and see what the Wildcat defense did against Malone on Saturday. We're back after this on the Coach O Show.
The Coach O Show is sponsored by
As we continue on the Coach O Show, we continue looking at highlights from the Cats game against Malone this past Saturday. Let's get into looking at the defensive highlights. The defense did make some big plays on Saturday.
No
Coach.
question. Speed, right? Downhill.
Absolutely.
We talk about it every week. Got to get to the football. They've got a miscue, and then we got to get after it here. This one was one that we you know, you look back and you say this one put the game away for us, but you know it evidently did not. But this is one of those plays where really great defenses create stuff. And this is a kid named Dante Holmes from Allentown, Pennsylvania. Played at Dean Junior College in Massachusetts. Just a long, talented young man that's got really a hell of an upside, and he's going to do a heck of a job for us. Makes a pick and gets in the end zone, and that's phenomenal. Defense making plays, and boy, I don't think I've jumped higher and was more excited on the sideline as I've been in a long time. So that was really a good thing to see, and fantastic job on that play.
Absolutely. The defensive linemen, they love it when they get a chance to run with the football,
oh my
don't
gosh,
they?
Yeah. And any touchdowns we can score, and I don't have to call any plays, is really special. And you could see, I mean, he threw it right at him, and Dante just was in the right place and pursuing the football. And good things happen when you run to the ball, and we got ourselves a touchdown. Great job. Great
Absolutely.
job.
What else do we have there from the defensive side?
Well, we get going here on the defensive side of the ball, and we get ourselves at a big moment here as well. It was a 4th down play. They were going for it, and who is that guy? That's Nick Krause.
That's Nick Krause, it sure is.
And it's funny, we had 2 turnovers on the day, and the first one was the touchdown for Dante, and then on this touchdown here was the possession that Tucker made the big touchdown catch 2 plays after this play. So turnovers equal points, got to have them, and again, just pursuing to the football and getting some pressure on him. Trevor Cruzel rushing the throw here, number 32, and Nick makes a real athletic play on the pick.
And perhaps a little redemption for Nick, because a couple of plays earlier he had an interception taken away, that hit the ground. So
I mean, it wouldn't be Wildcat football without one being taken away, right? So I shouldn't have said that. Ryan.
Oh, well, that's the way it
So
goes.
here we go here, and again, you know, the key is if you can defensively, from a teach perspective, drop and cover and get pressure with only 4 guys coming after the quarterback, it's usually a really good day for the defense. And we had 3 at the point of attack there. So again, Dante Holmes had a heck of a day, and Trevor Cruzel, a little race to the quarterback with Jordan Ditteron at the end. So just a good football play, and excited for our defense. And we got to find a way to play really good on both sides of the ball together on the same day. I think that's important now.
Well, no surprise in that last one to see Trevor Cruzel and Jordan Ditteron around that football going after the quarterback.
They're having a great season. There's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. What are some of the things you're looking for from the defense now moving forward the rest of the way?
Consistency. You know, I think that we do a heck of a job of playing really good football in spurts, obviously. Consistency, the ability to finish. I think are critical components for us now.
Again, Dalton Stenberg steps up big for you guys on Saturday. Guy that's really found his way. I think 32 tackles over the last 3 weeks for him.
Yeah, you know, Dalton has been a great addition for us, and got player of the game. And big kid, strong kid, runs to the football, does some really good things. Really nice addition. We're rooting for Dalton to do a great job for us in the future as we grow and then push along both academically and athletically. Yeah,
you talk about academically here. I mean, the way the schedule is shaped up, 4 road games in the past 5 weeks for you guys. How do you guys juggle that academic side of things?
You know, I think the support is critical. I think that's the critical to having success in terms of understanding. You know, we're not a 25-man team. We've got 100 guys on this roster. So you got to have a plan in terms of how you're going to structure their support. So we go about breakfast check in the morning. We have 2 study halls a week. We'll do everything we can in terms of getting them the help they need if we feel they're in need. And then we do a progress report check, which is usually once every 3 weeks. So we get an understanding if they're struggling early so we can catch it early. I think those are the important components to ensuring you're doing a good job in the classroom.
Always important to get that job done. We'll take a break and wrap things up on the Coach O Show right after this. Welcome back to the Coach O Show as we head to the final segment of this week's show. A look ahead for the Wildcats. The Wayne State Warriors coming to town on Saturday afternoon, but good to be back. I expect back at the Spirit Dome after 2 weeks on the road.
Oh boy, yeah, absolutely. You know, we've only played twice this season at home, so it's exciting to finally be home and have a Friday night at home and walk through in our stadium and play the game at the Dome.
Especially in this league in the GLIAC, always tough on the road, but always great to be at home.
Yeah, you know, we've got 5 home games this year and 6 on the road. It's been that way for the first 2 years, actually, of our time. We haven't had more home than away yet, so when you're home, you kind of really treasure that deal.
Sure. Wayne State Warriors, the opponent coming in on Saturday, 3-3 on the season. What have you seen from the Warriors so far this season to prepare for the game?
You know, I think Wayne State is Wayne State. They're going to do the things they do. They're 2 years removed from the national championship. They're physical, run to the football, very multiple on defense. Offensively, they want to run the football. They want to be multiple information base and do a lot of play action pass, boots and waggles, that kind of thing. And they're a good football team. They know how to win games.
Yeah, on the offensive side, they do run the football. They've got a guy, Desmond Martin, almost 140 yards per game on the ground. He's going to be a tough task for the defense on Saturday.
No question. They're gonna try to kind of match a hat with a hat and find him a crease and see if he can get through it. So yeah, they're going to run the football, and he's the featured guy.
What are some of the keys for your football team to get back on track heading into this week?
You know, Ryan, my God, 4 weeks in a row you lose at the end of the game. We're going to find a little bit different of an approach in terms of preparation this week. There's no question, and we're going to get this ledger turned around. Obviously for us last week, because you can't turn a football over. Sure. I mean, good teams don't turn a football over, so that would be a real point of emphasis this week.
Well, the Wildcats at home taking on the Wayne State Warriors. As we said, Coach, it'll be good to be back at home. No question about that. So best of luck on Saturday, and we'll chat next week.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Coach O Show. Join us next week when we talk about the Wayne State Warriors and look ahead to another trip down to Ashland, Ohio for the Wildcats. That'll be next week here on the Coach O Show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. So long.
The Coach O Show is sponsored by